And one day, a little eighth grade girl walking out of the classroom said, "You guys are funny. You ought to become a comedy team." Never entered my mind nor Tim's.
That was, you totally got me right into my next point. I believe it was in your book. You said 17 years old is when you got into the Navy, right?
Yeah, the day I turned 17, I joined the Navy.
So it's super interesting to me that here you are with this kind of, and you definitely touched on the point already of kind of, brash physicality versus intellectual battle, but you had this life that seemed to be very chaotic to me, from what I read. And then you go into the military, which is all about structure and discipline. Um,
Mm.
what do you think, maybe other than just the total lack of physical brutality, what do you think was the biggest change for you in the Navy? Was it just pure structure? I mean, was that it, or what do you think it left you with?
Many things that it started out that first of all my life where you grew up in the streets, you're judged by what you're wearing. When I was going to high school, I had holes in my shoes. I was embarrassed the way in high school,
Sure.
everybody tries to dress to the nines and look like,
Right.
and they're driving their daddy's car and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm setting pins in bowling alleys till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, coming home, and again, no bathtub and no shower.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting up in the morning and washing up a little bit and going to school, walking like 2 miles to school,
Mm-hmm.
and then falling asleep in study hall and everything. So when I went in the Navy, all of a sudden they shaved my head and everybody else's head was shaved.
Mm-hmm.
We all had on the same clothes.
Hmm.
And for the first time in my life, I was judged by what I could do, not what I was wearing. You
Interesting.
know, that sort of thing. So, and then 3 squares a day. I never had 3 meals a day in my whole life.
Right.
Now they're 3 squares a day. My own bunk, showers. I never had a shower. I could stand under hot water as long as I wanted to. To this day, I get an incredible sense of well-being when I'm in a hot shower and I can let as much water flow on me as I want, and I can go in my closet and see more than one pair of shoes.
Right.
Because in the Navy, I had several pair of shoes, dress shoes and boots and stuff like that. But anyhow,
Mm-hmm.
so that was first part. Then the other part was a discipline. You know, you know, on time, always on time.
Sure.
0600 out of that bunk, and you better be out of that bunk. All the training,
Mm-hmm.
and then the right from day one, marching left, right, left, right. You were taking commands.
Mm-hmm.
To the left flank, ho, right flank, ho, to the rear, ho. You got in the habit of taking commands,
Mm-hmm.
that somebody was in charge. So all of that structure was foreign to me, and it was hard to get adjusted to right away. But when I got adjusted to it, I was proud. When I served in the Marine Corps unit, I was in a squadron in the Quonset Point Naval Air Torpedo Unit, and they sent one guy from every squadron to the Marine Corps for training. The outfit was called NEGDF, Naval Emergency Ground Defense Force.
Mm-hmm.
That training really, they kept their foot in my rear end for 9 months. The Marines loved the trained sailors. They loved to just, work the hell out of them,
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time after about 4 months that I might have gone AWOL. I had it. It was
Mm-hmm.
hell week. It was a strict training time where a lack of sleep, hard training. I went back to my bunk that night, and I thought I was going to do one of three things. I was either going to go AWOL
Mm-hmm.
or burst into tears,
Mm-hmm. Just
you know,
broken.
or I was going to stick it out. And I debated, and finally I said, I'm not going to let them know they got me. They got me.
Mm-hmm.
They wiped the punk out of you, the street out of you, And from that point on, I became very proud of this outfit that I was in,
Mm-hmm.
and of the guys I served with. I remember the drill instructor after one intensive week of training. He said to me, Dreesen, the rest of your life, you'll judge every man you meet by what I want to be in a foxhole with him when the shit hits the fan.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to him in my foxhole. And from that point, and he's been right about that my whole life. I don't do it consciously, but sometimes after I meet a guy, we become friends and stuff. My whole life, I would think, if the shit hit the fan, would I want this guy would he have my back?
For
Would he
sure.
have my back? And it's kind of an interesting. Yeah, so that's how much it changed me.
Sure. So, okay, you do your military, it totally changes the way that you are judged and the way you feel like you're judged. all of a sudden you just get this massive injection of structure, discipline, especially, total change from what you had before that. And then you come out after 4 years is what I read, right? You did your 4 year service. Okay. Now here you are. Now you're a young man. You have to get a job, and you've had the childhood now, especially now because you're not a child anymore. So you kind of realize what you had as a kid. You know what I mean? You're not ignorant to, not having a shower and things like that. What do I know you did a few various jobs. I know you went into construction. What was that attitude that you had when you got out of the service? You know what I mean? Now you have this new outlook on life. You still don't want to be a comedian yet. That hasn't really bit you yet, I don't think. What was your attitude of like, all right, how am I going to get into the workforce?
Well, I immediately get married. My girlfriend got pregnant, and you did. I was raised Catholic, and my neighborhood, the mantra was all throughout where I grew up at. And the Irish neighborhood, the Italian neighborhood, the African American neighborhood, the Latino neighborhood. We had all different ethnicities where I grew up at. The mantra was always, if a girl gets pregnant, you'll marry her. When I was 13 years old, my mother said, if you get a girl in trouble, you're going to stand by her. I was 13 years old. I said, Mom, 13 years old. But that was the mantra in the neighborhood. So the girl I'm dating gets pregnant, and I don't, none of this again do I regret. So we get married, and in a short time, I'm married. I'm going to have a kid. Now, the other thing, the military and I didn't have a childhood, a teen years like most guys did. I didn't have the college experience or anything like that. So now I'm some nights, I'm working construction and stuff like that. I'm wheeling concrete, pouring sidewalks and basements. I'm a little guy. I'm not a big guy. And then I worked on one time on a big project, a shopping center where I worked with a construction crew where there was like 48 big, heavy-set, strong-looking black guys and me. I was the only white guy there, little skinny white boy. But right. I did hard labor because I didn't have any trade, But right. I always tended bar part-time because my mom was a bartender when I was growing up, and I tended bar in my neighborhood. But I started doing a lot of dumb things too, running with some guys, having drinks, going out with Friday night, hanging out with the guys and drinking until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And
right.
So I wandered from one job to another job to another job. And then I was never fulfilled. I ended up getting a job loading trucks for Jones Motor Company in Chicago, and it was a nationwide trucking firm. And I became a Teamster. After 30 days, I had to drop my card, and I became a Teamster. I got my card after 30 days. And now, after 6 months loading trucks, the company came to me and said, we think you have more on the ball than just loading trucks. We'd like you to be a foreman. So I had to drop my Teamster card and become a foreman of these 60 Teamster guys that I used to be their buddy. And now I was their boss.
Right.
And that was a real experience because these were tough Irish, Polish, Italian guys from Cicero, Illinois. And 30 of them said, hey, kid, that's a good thing you did. It's your foreman. Yeah, it's good for you. And the other 30 said, I wouldn't work for you. You no good punk. They'd call the union on me. It was really a tough situation that I was involved in. But I finally left there, wandering aimlessly, never knowing what it is I wanted to do. And I honestly, Steve, began to pray. I began to pray. I said, God, what is it I'm supposed to be? This can't be it. I'd be in a bar at 2 o'clock in the morning with my buddies, drinking beer, looking around saying, I don't belong here, but I didn't know where I belonged. And I began to pray. And I asking God, show me, there must be something. I ended up joining the JCs, a civic group in those days called the Junior Chamber of Commerce. And they were young men of action, ages 18 to 36, who attacked the problems of the community. And they taught you leadership training program. They taught you how to serve on a committee, how to chair a committee, how to form subcommittees, how to Robert's Rules of Order, how to conduct a meeting, how to speak in front of an audience. They had a lot of programs, but they also, it was a lot of leadership, but it was working on problems of the community and solving those problems. So one of the big problems at that time in our community, as it is even today, young people using drugs. And I wrote a drug education program teaching grade school children the ills of drug abuse with humor, a concept I had. They weren't teaching drug education in those days at a college or a high school level, let alone at an elementary school level. But I knew you had to get to them at an early age. I did a lot of other things, but I got involved in this. The very first night that I was proposing this project to the JCs, that they would sanction it as a JC project, a young man joined the chapter, a young black man he graduated Norfolk State College, and E.I. DuPont recruited him into Chicago as a marketing representative. And after I made the proposal and the JCs sanctioned and said, yes, run it as a JC project, he came up to me and said, gee, I would like to help you with that. I'm a new member. I just joined tonight. I would like to work with you on that project. I said, thank you, but I got a guy. I had a white friend named John DeBoer.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I already got a guy, but thank you very much. And he said, okay. The next day, as fate would have it, mind you, I'm praying now, God, what do you want me to do in life? The next day, John DeBoer calls me and said, I got a new job. I can't help you on that project. I said, gee, what was that black guy's name? Oh, yeah, Tim Reed. So I call him up and we rehearsed the program.
Mm-hmm.
We walk into the classroom. And the moment we walked in the classroom, I knew, this was a gift because the children were black and white.
Mm-hmm.
They were integrated schools. The moment Tim and I walked in the classroom, we played music. We got the kids' attention and we did jokes off of one another, getting the kids laugh. We got their attention right away.
Right.
And the program became very successful. It became number one in 50 states and in 22 foreign countries. Wherever JCs were, they used it as a model program through their publications.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, a little 8th grade girl walking out of the classroom said, you guys are funny. You ought to become a comedy team.
Mm-hmm.
Never entered my mind nor Tim's. 2 days later, we're sitting at one of the meetings, and I told him a joke. He told me a joke. He said, hey, are you thinking about what that little girl said? I said, yeah. He said, would you do that? I said, I'd do it if you do it. We didn't know what to do.
Right.
We became America's first black and white comedy team. There were no comedy clubs in those days.
Sure.
None.
Mm-hmm.
So we became the first black and white comedy team. And we started working what they call the Chitlin circuit, black-owned, black-operated nightclubs
mm-hmm.
all over the country, as well as white nightclubs. I'd be the only white guy in an all-black area, and Tim would be the only black guy in an all-white area. And
Right.
we paid dues like no other act ever had to pay dues.
If you enjoyed this content, be sure to check out the Standing Still podcast, both here on YouTube and wherever else you listen to podcasts.